Greetings. My name is Hyland, and I welcome you to Everything. Before we begin, let me say, I don't reject God, I reject defining God. I don't reject karma, I reject giving it power. I don't reject man's freedom to think, I reject man's insistence that he thinks correctly. Chapter 1. Man has two areas of great arrogance. I will start with what I believe to be the second greatest arrogance. The second greatest arrogance of man is convincing himself that he can create something that isn't there as if it were. He doesn't actually have to believe that he can create something from nothing. He just has to convince others that he can teach them how they can create something from nothing for the right price. The first greatest arrogance of man is the philosophy that he can reason away things that are right in front of him as if they were not there. I call it the philosophy of nothingness. Have you ever heard of this strange idea that all we see is in our imagination? There's a saying attributed to the prominent writer Aeneas Nin that reflects this idea. She says, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." Cute, huh? Today's evolution of that thought through psychology, sociology, and even religion has found quicksand instead of solid ground for being enlightened. No matter what this belief is called, the path to enlightenment asks us to accept that our eyes, minds, even what we touch is merely a trick being played upon us. It is a trick being played on us by our own mind. The chair isn't really there. We have been taught to believe that there is a chair there, so we believe that we see it. But if we were never to have seen a chair or had never experienced living on this earth where there are opportunities for chairs to exist or not to exist, the chair doesn't really exist. This has something to do with molecular structure, randomization, and somehow the metaphysical nature of the universe and how we perceive our universe. Yes, it is true that we should not let our eyes deceive us. However, we should not be deceived into thinking that our eyes don't see reality. Humans have this uncanny ability to make anything make sense, if we want it to make sense. Along with that, we have a similarly uncanny ability not to believe something that would make perfect sense if only we could believe that it makes sense. But because we don't believe it, it is rejected, and therefore we never have the opportunity to believe the truth, except for perhaps a 50-50 shot at our own belief being the right belief. Now, what do I mean by 50-50? Well, when my belief is my belief because it makes sense to me, and therefore how could anyone possibly disagree with my belief? But the wise man next door has a contrary belief that he believes makes sense, and therefore how could anyone possibly disagree with his belief? That is why we have so many options to believe in. What we believe becomes a flip of the coin on any given day. How did we even come up with the belief that things are different from what we see? Not to be able to believe that what I see is reality forces me to think like John Lennon, who so eloquently and romantically said, "I just believe in me, Yoko and me. That's reality." He was wrong, of course, because we know that John, God rest his soul, if the soul rests, if John, had he lived, might have divorced Yoko one day and had to change the words to his song and his philosophy to fit his next wife. The reality is that the universe and everything in the universe does exist, and we exist in the universe. We are not some strange entity that is ethereal in essence. It is the ethereal part of our brain that develops imagination, not reality. In the next chapter, I will talk about the difference between two opposing theories: the theory of emptying ourselves of reality, and the theory of being a part of everything that is real. Being empty is not what makes us human. Being full of everything and being connected to everything is where a person can more easily and more fully find inner peace. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Everything.